I wanted to do a review a bit differently as this device has been reviewed by many different YouTube reviewers over time, so I will not structure it like my other reviews, and I will focus on my experience with this gear and how it compares to similar devices I had or heard over the time. If you want my opinion of Audiolab 6000A without streaming and how it compares to other amps, please look at my video of best integrated amps under 100,000 euros. The link will be in the description of this video. To me, when I first heard this device, I was amazed at what Audiolab did. I always imagined that if we lived in a perfect world, this should be an entry level for anyone tipping its toes in these unforgiving waters of audiophile prestige. It opens the sound incredibly. It enriches the mid-range so much. The vocals are nicely spread out and full of dynamics. And it eases the anxiety of thinking about decks, streamers, CD players, etc. with built-in music streamer. It shows all the newbies the strength of listening to music via streamer rather than a Bluetooth. But it is now around 800 to 900 euros, but it used to sell around 1200 euros when it was first launched, which for someone whom this hobby is yet too much undiscovered territory, giving so much money to start and without speakers might be too much. So the value for beginners might not be there, as there are many cheaper ways for them to start their journey and to buy amps, speakers, music streamers for less money. For a newbie who wants to get into an audio world, value proposition might not be the best, but for people who have learned over time to appreciate the finer propositions of hi-fi, might see a lot of value here. But I think if anyone who just started and eventually decided to buy this, he will get an amp which he can be satisfied on a long run. To a lot of folks, this can even be an end game amp, and they should be really satisfied with it and what it offers and gives. But it can also work as a gate to an audiophile grade sound. And I think even the seasoned audiophiles can find a lot of enjoyment and qualities here. You get two digital and optical inputs with different pre-outs, power, analog and phono inputs, including the Bluetooth and of course the music streamer. You can connect whatever you want with it. It opens many doors, even for this device to work as a pre and used to be used to connect to other power amplifiers, so it can have more strength and power. And that streamer, while not the top of the class, it is still leagues above Bluetooth streaming. The one big downfall I see is that DTS application that Audiolab uses is absolute rubbish and cannot compare to other applications of their competition. And while decent and good streaming is, this amp shines with the better players attached to it. But it saves you a lot of time, because for 200 euros more, you get a decent streaming inside one box that can serve you for a longer period of time, until you gather money to buy something else. Therefore, to me, that streamer have a lot of value in it, as it lowers the expectations and anxiety of what to buy and how to pair with this amp. It is already done for you. You just enjoy your music. And the sound is the star of the show, as how it should be. One thing I love so much is how the music layers, resolves and plays music on a soundstage. I love how subtly it resolves a lot of inflections and how it enriches the instrumentation. There's a lot of details and textures that works in that way for it to open the soundstage greatly. Those details are necessary as to create a perception of a soundstage. Just pair this with the capable speakers that open up greatly, and you'll be amazed how much rich and detailed its soundstage is. But even if it is detailed, the sound is very balanced. There are no spikes in coloration here, which can work in its advantage in many ways if paired correctly. But the richness of mid-range that opens up from that balanced nature also helps with the layer separation clarity. So tracking of instruments and placement of vocals are going to be amazing. Yes, amazing. The soundstage and imaging, the two territories that Audiolab is king. Vocals that already have details are really well placed on a sonic stage. They are present and well put in the center of the stage. And when the chorus hits, it opens dynamically, so it is a paradise to listen. Also, to a lot of production tricks like backing and filling vocals, they have presence, so that you can hear them separate from main vocalists and creating more of a weight and space. I can tell that this amp is for people that enjoy when their music have a lot of room and air to it, when there's a big soundstage that opens and occupies the entire room, to music that you listen to have richness, smoothness, and especially for more pop-oriented or vocal-oriented music. To be a natural presentation and laid back, to allow your other gear to color the sound or not to color the sound. For people who want their music to be sweet but reserved and who does not overflow you with information, so that you can listen to music without fatigue. So just you and your music to relax after a long day and countless hours of just enjoying music in your own small universe in your living room. It definitely prolongs the life expectations that way. To me, this is not for people that have fine-tuned their taste in audiophile world, as sound is a very balanced. So if you prefer the sound to have certain weight and strength, or to be like very treble rich with upped treble to get that very pronounced rhythmic, you might be disappointed. For example, people that jump from Rega Brio to this might be a bit disappointed with the lacking of forward presentation and strength of higher registry of music. While it is a beautiful amp, it also lacks that special characteristics. Now, this all can be mitigated by good pairing and synergy to some degree, but balanced and reserved nature of this amp can be a turnaround for some people. To me, after having it, selling it, and now having it again, I can say few words after I tried few different amps and speakers. I am in love in this amp, but love eventually a bit faded away, as to some other of my axes just had more spark and fire in them that I missed. It is just when you tried many different foods, you will miss some certain ingredients, and that is a human nature. There is not a perfect all-around everything amp in this price range. You gain something, but you lose something else. Hi-Fi is always about balancing act, and once there is something great in one area of dynamic scale, it loses a bit in other. On your journey to discover your inner sonic snob, you will realize which sonic qualities are for you and which are not. If you don't know yet, it is the best bet to go with this kind of balanced acts, as it gives you everything to try, like an all-out buffet. It is up to you to figure out where you will invest your money in the future. Now, as I said, I have tried many different amps, and I would like to compare this to other amp streamers in this or similar price range. Just to drive home even more that long-term review, what I learned, where I think the best value lies, etc. And these are the amps I had experience with. There's not a big overall of all amps similar to this, but the ones I know few things about. Those amps are like Marantz PM700, Denon PM900, and Primare I15 Prisma. There are, for example, Cambridge Audio CXN100, which on paper is competing with Audiolab, and you should also consider checking it out. But because I don't have that much experience with that amp, I'm going to skip the comparisons. I think Marantz is hardest to get now, as I think it slowly becomes a legacy device in Marantz catalog. I still see that it can be bought in stores, but my gut feeling says it is soon to become a legacy device like 8006, and Marantz will focus on their model series. Now, currently, as what I saw, it is around 900 euros, which is a great price for this device, as when originally was introduced it was around 1600 euros and it was not a strong value at all. To me, the big problem is that Marantz 8006 and 6007 were far better prices in their price range. But this has streaming and a pretty decent one too. Now, why would you pick Marantz or Audiolab? It might be for their signature warm and smooth sound. It has this beautiful weighty big warm sound with the upper bass being very rounded. It does not have a soundstage and imaging like Audiolab, but it has this smooth sound which makes everything sound lush, beautiful, and yet at the same time with weight too. Rhythmic section of music have more presence and kick, and there's a decent details and textures to them. It is all what you want and prefer in a sound if you like sound signatures like this. And streaming in Marantz is much better than Audiolab. Will that be interface-wise or sound-wise? So if you want that sound that sounds like a big warm hug and for far better streaming, then this one might be for you. But Audiolab is far better in imaging, soundstage, extraction of details around mid-range. So think about those and choose which one might be for you. Next one is the newest out of these 4 amps, and that is Denon PMA-900HNE. It is also the cheapest out of 4. This Denon amp is really underrated in my opinion. It has more power than Audiolab and it has a fantastic phono stage. And sound signature is more towards big lower end and strength. It creates the sound that you feel in your gut and heart. It can be also used as an AV receiver alternative. The bass is probably the best out of the 4, but it is not the only thing it offers, as it also brings good combination of other elements with good soundstage, good details, and plenty of inputs and output. It is also really good in grounding those bright speakers fantastically. Also, same like Marantz, it has a far better streaming than Audiolab. But Audiolab is also far better in terms of soundstage, clarity, imaging, and scope of mid-range and richness. It has more audiophile prestige than this device. But if you prefer a great bass, great reproduction of male vocals, great phono, far better streaming, and also a device which is cheaper than the Audiolab, then Denon might be for you. Now, Primare I15 Prisma is the most expensive out of 4, and one thing that have certainly better out of 4 is streaming. I adore Prisma modules inside Primare, and to me it is the closest one which reproduces the music like a standalone music streamer. But sound-wise, Primare have 3 things better than Audiolab, and that is dynamics, details, and bass. Starting with bass, which have a tad more oomph and strength than Audiolab, especially for one balanced device like Primare. It just helps your speakers to express bass better with more command. Secondly is, of course, details, reproduction, and textures. I just could hear more organically the sound properties of percussion, string, etc., and with more details for that clinical listening sessions. But Audiolab did perform with a better soundstage and imaging. The sound was a bit more open and it creates a perception of a better placement of individual elements on dynamic scale. Also, the way it unclutters the stage for vocals to shine is also a bit better than Primare. Also, I felt a bit more expression coming out of mid-range. It had a bit more energy than Primare, even though they both are balanced and a little bit laid back. Knowing this, the Audiolab is a cheaper device and it comes with its pros and cons, so you have to weigh which one is for you. Still, Audiolab is a better device in my opinion. It has a better extraction of details and textures and stuff like that. In my opinion, Primare is aimed strictly for those, audiophiles that have a little bit better pairing equipment, as that the detailed reproduction and extraction and how it organizes sound is more aimed at the higher class of audiophile listeners, as it truly has that better extraction of details, textures, dynamics, etc. But as I said previously, it is more expensive device. So weigh which one is best for you. Now, out of all these 4, which one I like the most? Well, it certainly is Audiolab. It brings the utmost quality for the price it is in. I love how it opens and detailed it is. I love how it has this richness and expression in mid-range. Even its balanced nature is a great way to experiment with different recipes to create a best sound synergy, and it allows a sound which is not so much taxing for your ears and brain to create great lengthy sessions. I have fallen in love with this amp, and I think you will too, especially how it just takes the music and the sound and it just expresses all those emotions that you can feel and hear so well. Thank you for watching this review. Everything you see in my reviews I buy and acquire myself. So if you want to help me with continuing to do these reviews, please like and subscribe. That will go the long way in helping me to continue this passion of mine. Keep daydreaming and see you soon. Bye.